So here we have a Powerfist 12 volt DC winch. It's comes from Princess Auto here in Canada. It's an unboxing, I guess. It's 12 volts, current rating 160. I hope to run it off a battery. We'll see how it goes. Single rated line pull of 3,500 pounds, but I'm going to actually run it through a pulley. So we'll actually, I guess 7,000 would be the equivalent, since we're going to use some mechanical advantage. A pretty thin cable, 7/32, 50 feet, which if we cut in half is 25. Gear ratio doesn't matter. It's got a brake, that's neat. It's got a sun gear, also not cool, or whatever. Full load line speed 6 and 17 when she's empty. Looks like it comes with a remote control, relay switch for your vehicle, or ATV. In this case, we're going to be using it in the back of a pickup truck off a battery, whatever that's for. So that'll be pretty cool. Figured I'd show you guys as we open the box here just what's going on. So right out of the gate, looks like we've got our mounting plate, which I'll be actually mounting this to probably a 4x4 piece of wood across the tailgate of the truck. And we have a manual, which would probably be smart if we were to read that. And we have our cardboard, hides everything, and all our toys. Well, this is pretty cool. So in this bag here, looks like we have some wiring and a screw and plug adapter. That's cool. Next we have, it comes in with mounting bolts for the plate. Won't work in my application, but I imagine if you had an ATV, some other bolts, not sure what those are for. Probably for this guy, and one of the reasons why I purchased this one over another, it has a guide plate already, or comes with a guide plate. It's not just a spool that's out there going all over the place, but it's actually, I'm guessing these two nuts are for that. It actually has its own guide plate, so that's cool. More nuts and bolts. And over here we've got, I'm guessing, a fairly decent relay. I imagine we're hooking our battery up to this, and our controller up to this, and this will be talking power from our battery to our winch that's here. We have our hook. I don't know what the red handle's for. I'm guessing just so you know where it is. So we'll be using this as our main pull device. Oh, it comes with some battery leads. I was hoping so. I got bringing 2 batteries with me, so 2 battery. Let's just see how that connects up. That's pretty cool. And then some more leads. They also have those. So once again, I bought some terminals, so we'll see how that goes. Or my battery. Also from the unit itself, is fairly heavy. That's pretty cool. There's your cable there, which will go to our, and then these things, whatever they are. They're squishable plastic, maybe cover some nuts. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I betcha. This is for the wiring of our block here. Our cable ends will come into this and then attach to the stud is what I'm guessing. So a little protection there from shorting everything out. That's all that's included in the box. So let me unbox things and we'll go through them again. So here we have the basic assembly of the unit. Sorry I didn't film the boring, intricate details of it, but let me walk you through exactly what you need to do. The instruction booklet really sucks, which is currently holding this against my floor. The cables are fairly awesome in regards that the cable ends are actually colored as to what terminal they go on. So if you notice on the motor here, there's yellow and blue. So use the yellow cable on the yellow connections and the blue cable on the blue connections. So coming to our solenoid here, each stud and nut is actually painted the color it's supposed to be. So this would be yellow, this would be blue, this is red, this is black. The red goes to your positive terminal on your battery. Your black goes to your negative terminal on your battery. This just screws in. My back and forth module had this connection assembly, presumably for your handlebar on your ATV that you're using it on. Once again, I'm using this in the back of a pickup truck, so less important. The mounting plate's interesting, and it's going to give me a little bit of an issue. Rolling the unit on its back, it comes with this front. This is one of the reasons why I wanted this one in particular, is because it had the guide mount here, and that's just held on with these hex bolts, and that's fine. You can put it on, you pull it through, and then you can put your hook on, and it's only held in with a little pin here, so it's not a big deal. My issue is I'm probably going to bolt this thing to a 4x4 piece of lumber, and the issue with that is that how do I bolt it to my piece of wood and also have these nuts available for tightening into the winch? So what I'm going to have to do probably is set these on, bolt it to my piece of wood, which will actually probably go this way, then come back and set the winch on the nuts and then use a wrench to turn them so that they suck down into it. So I can still bolt this down like I want it to be, but then I actually got to come in and fight with these 4 bolts to get this down to the plate that keeps it all together. So that'll be a little bit of less fun than before, I guess. This is just a screw connection. It comes with a cap, once again, probably built for your ATV, UTV, whatever. And then this isn't as much a flag as it is, you keep tension on it when you're reeling it back. So you hold on to it and pull a little bit as you bring it back, and that makes sure that, and it's not a cable, it's rope, which everything says cable except for that instruction sheet that says rope. So had I known that, I probably wouldn't have gotten this particular unit. But it is what I have, and unfortunately the place that I got it's about an hour and a half away, and I'm getting this car tomorrow, so we'll just see how it goes, see if it's rated enough. You can switch out the cables, but it once again costs money. So all we've got left then, the wiring is very simple. Like I said, the 2 connections here, one's positive, one's negative. The cables are labeled motor positive, motor negative, to our relay box here, and this is where all the big power goes, right? This little cute box here keeps us safe as an operator. Big juice here, and this will get mounted to the piece of wood that this is actually onto, so these cables will never actually be that crazy far apart. And then we have our battery connections here. Once again, this will be in the back of the bed of my truck. So and I'll have a couple of these. I don't know how quickly we're going to diminish the battery. Could be a lot, could be short, but it's always nice to have at least 2. So we got these connections here. I did buy, I don't know where the package went. I did buy some connectors. They were about $7, and I bought the wrong kind, but it worked out okay. I bought the squishy kind, which means it's got these 2 nuts that actually squishes down upon the wire. The kit comes with those circular bolt downs, and you just take one of those and bolt it in, and you're in. So that worked out fine. So I got my terminal negative done. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this up to the positive. Now, I don't know the status of this battery outside of the charger says it's full, but I don't know if it's got any power, like if it's got any amperage or not. I do know that it is on fairly tight, so let me just loosen this up a sec. I can get this down on there. This is where I just need to hammer it on in. But for purposes of this, we're actually tight enough, but if I was actually doing it for real, would make that get on the terminal a little bit more. And then just tighten it up a lick, just so we get good contact. So in theory now, we're good to go. And next step is let's give it a little test spin here, but what I'll do is I'll have an assistant hold the camera for me, and that way I can keep tension on this and we'll run it back and forth. Okay, here's a good battery, for sure I know. So let's just see how this goes. We want to go away from that. So that works out great. So we just need to make sure we bring a good battery besides this one. This is a good one. It's run the hell out of my parts car, so So that's it in a nutshell for this part of it here. I'll have some video of how we get it mounted to the piece of wood, and how we'll set it up in the back of our pickup truck, and then hopefully some footage of this thing dragging a car onto a tilt deck trailer, which is kind of what we're using it for. And I'll try to put some of that video in this video, and then of course I'll also link to that actual video of us hauling a car into a trailer, if everything. Well, so the day went by and I didn't shoot any video of this here, but I want you to know that it worked out great. So here we are in our pickup truck, and what I ended up doing is taking, this is a 4x4, using some 2x4s about a foot long to get it up high in the bed, and it's actually resting against these bed rails you see right there, if you can. I didn't bring my flashlight, sorry about that. So it's actually pulling on the bed of the truck. Because it's not my trailer, I actually rent the trailer. So here we do. Now, I was anticipating on using my reducer, essentially, that hook that had the loop, and to actually send it over, loop it back, and actually kind of hook it over here. But what happened is I could only get probably, I still had about 5 feet between the car and the end of the trailer, so I needed all the rope I had. I used this was a couple bucks from Princess Auto, hooked it on each side of the subframe of the car. We pulled just off the center of it, and I went straight. The other catch that I had with it is that we were probably turned at about a 45-degree angle, so my truck was pointed this way and my trailer was pointed that way, so it ended up loading this side quite a bit. So I actually had to tell you about that in a second. So more on this connection. So I ended up bolting this directly to the 4x4 and using 3 very deep wood screws that go into the wood, probably about 2.5, maybe 3 inches. So there, I pre-drilled and then put these in. And I decided to not put a board against it. I wanted this plate as right against this surface as best it could, knowing the shearing force is our issue here, right? Because of that, these are flush, and so you cannot put a nut in them. So I have my bag and my wrenches here. So I was only able to secure the back 2 nuts, or bolts I should say. Sorry, the back 2 bolts of it to the, it's hard to do with one hand. I was only able to do 2 of the bolts for this thing to the machine. But if you look at the way it's set up and how it's actually going to be pulling on its load, that should be fine. It's not going to bend the plate, not going to bend the wood. And I ended up running it straight directly to the car because it was so far away. So we actually hooked in the line, hooked it to this strap that was actually attached to the car, and it pulled it with 1 flat tire up the ramp, because it's a tilt deck. So this splits down, so it actually pulled it out of the hole it was in, which was a big pull, rolled the car over, and then actually lifted it up, and we tilt decked it and brought it back in just like that. So that was pretty awesome. It squished in this a little bit, so we'll have to I'm gonna go put this into cold storage. But here's my battery. No issues at all. It's a good battery. It's still green. I'll bring that in and top off the charge though. But that worked out great. Just 1 battery is all it needed. Probably only took maybe 5 minutes to get the car completely up. It was amazing compared to using a come-along, that's for sure. All the wiring was as you see here. And then when I was done, I took the 2 bolts out and I pulled the unit off, because the issue being is if you look at the trailer, it's very covered in everything. It's very slushy out there right now, so I didn't want to get my nice new winch all dirty. So I left this in the bed, and I'm going to leave it in the bed for now. But that unit was actually riding in the cab, so it was warm. The battery is actually in the cab, so it was warm, because it's about 17 degrees Fahrenheit out here. It's pretty cold. And I kept all my bolts and nuts and wrenches in a small Ziploc bag so I could bring them out, set it up, and then go. So that's how that worked out. So it actually worked out fantastic. I did use the clutch. You just turn it on the side here to freewheel it out, hook it on, bring it in. Now, what happened with the side loading, because we were really hard on this side because my truck was turned, sorry to get back to the story, is that all the rope kind of bundled on this side. So what happened is we got the car about halfway up and then had to put on the brakes. Then I put this in freewheel, pulled it out, and then rewound it onto this side, and then went back to pulling. And then this, of course, reduced the amount of cable that was here, and then I could bring the car the rest of the way and it would build up again. So maybe one thing before I go pull another car at some point is to actually pull this all the way out and kind of let it, you know, wind back up evenly again. Because ideally you want to pull straight, but you know, life happens and you don't always get that. So awesome unit. I can't believe it pulled it straight. I was thinking I was gonna have to reduce it at 3,500 pounds, but it did fine. And a Beretta it was a Chevy Beretta we pulled. I got it hidden away now in a Quonset, but it's a 2,700 pound car. So that worked out fantastic. So the trailer goes back tomorrow. It's a tilt deck. It works out great for hauling cars. It did have, the rope did run along the edge here because the tilt deck, this actually comes up. Of course, you can see that's a little bit lower. So it actually telescoped over that. It wasn't an issue. So I'm pretty happy with that. If you have any questions on it, please feel free to ask or comments like you have one or you've had experiences with one. Let me know. It's getting dark, so I got to wrap this up. And subscribe to my channel, Turbo 231. Or Red Barn Homestead. I'm not sure which one I'm going to put this on. Maybe both. I don't know. Either way, guys, have a good day.